Well, I'm finally getting around to making a short video of my Honda CTX700N. As of September 2019, I've actually owned it now 4 years, and I have around 6,400 miles on it. It's been a great bike. As many of you may know, I bought this bike after I built myself a two-cycle engine motorbike from bits and pieces, put it all together. I rode that for maybe a part of a year. And then, of course, I graduated to the Phantom Ghost 26, which I bought in December, I think 2014. I did a lot of modifications to it. I still have it. I put 1,000 plus miles on it. But in the fall of 2015, I finally got around to getting a motorcycle license. And that motorcycle license spurred me on to, I'll say, bigger and better things. Within a couple weeks of getting my license, I actually purchased the CTX 700N that I now have and have been enjoying for the past 4 years. People always ask about maintenance items. Other than the initial oil change at 600 miles, I did have the front forks rebuilt about a year ago, and I did fall off of the bike at an intersection in the District of Columbia, which did more damage to my spirits than me personally, but it did cost me some plastic parts on the bike. No other damage to the bike other than that plastic. The things I have done to the bike, I've repeated in a couple videos, and you can find those on my YouTube channel. That goes through the list of everything. But things that are readily apparent are that I did do the Denali horn. I didn't like the motor scooter horn that was on it. That's right here. And I did do the chrome paint on the exhaust, which everybody seems to like. And of course, I went with the OEM bags as opposed to a few of the alternatives that were around. And I did put a top box on it. I don't usually ride with the top box unless I know I'm going to be picking up things at some point. I find that these 29-liter bags that Honda developed specifically for the bike worked fine with me. I also, thanks to one of the forums, saw somebody had changed the levers on the bike, which I also did. It was a cheap alternative. It let you adjust the grip size, and there also is the Go Cruise speed control. I do use that if I'm on any highway ride of any distance. And I found also that these grip grips, or these sponge grips, really come in nice when you're cruising. And I tried a couple windscreens, as many of you may know, but I finally settled on this Puig Universal 2 windscreen. It gives me all the wind protection I need for the highway distances that I do travel around on. And of course, for the past year, at least since last December, I've been shooting with a Moto Pro cam system, which is a DVR recording system. It gets you put one camera here on the front and the other camera here on the back. And I've been making videos with those pretty much all year. A few maintenance items. I did have to change one battery. I had the original battery died I guess after about 2 years. I replaced that with a local battery. And I do clean my chain rather regularly. And I put one of the, I guess it's some kind of a poly lube on it, and I've used it. Seems to work well. I don't have any real rust on my chain. It quiets it down a little bit too. I notice when you on a fresh application. I didn't do a lot to the bike, although when I look at the amount of money that I've spent doing little bits and pieces, it's always interesting to see what they add up to. I do have a caddy for my Note 9 Samsung Galaxy phone. And of course, I did put on the gear indicator pretty quickly after I got the bike. It just seemed crazy in learning the whole shifting to not be able to see what gear you were in. And that's been a really nice addition to the bike. Many of you may know too that when I added the camera system, I mounted the remote mic to my handlebars in this location right here, but I discovered that it was just too windy when I then wanted to do my recordings and edit them for YouTube. So I relocated to under the seat. I get a little bit more of the machine noise, not a whole bunch of exhaust, but since I have the stock exhaust on the bike, it really quiets the bike down a lot. And as I've told many people, I went to the Kaufman exhaust, but it was just a little loud for me. From my carport setting, it just tended to amplify the sound when I wanted to go for a ride, and I live rather close to a neighbor here. I also have the battery tender that I use during the winter. The bike is always under cover, but just with the cold area, it does tend to sap the battery a little bit if you don't keep it charged. One of the other items that I've had people mention when they see a close-up video is I do have a little temperature gauge here in the middle. And I bought that off of eBay. It came in its own little mount, but I used double-sided tape so I could just use the temperature gauge and put it right on top of that center post. That worked really nice for me. I still have the old horn in place, but it is no longer wired up. I rerouted the wiring to that new Denali, and that worked really well. I didn't have any problems with that. So basically, it's been an oil change. It's been a new battery. It's a new horn. It's new hand grips. The recording system for front and rear cameras. It's the top box, the bags. It's cosmetic for the most part. It's been a great bike. I love it. It's stable on the highway. It's comfortable for me. I'm about 180 some pounder. That and the weight of the bike just make it feel like a rock when you're riding on the highway. Well, it was a little warm. It was not real warm today, but warm enough where I could get out and here do a walk around. Keep riding, and I'll talk to you soon.